Hello guys, today I'll be moderating the entire workshop and I hope you guys are enjoying your weekend. It's the start of the weekend, it's Saturday, but we have something really good to offer to you all because this workshop focuses on how to prepare yourself or how to prepare your application to apply for an LLM abroad. And as we know, many of us here are prospective candidates who are thinking currently to prepare their LLM applications, or in the future, they might pursue this path of pursuing an LLM abroad. But today we are joined with Miss Anjali Chawla, and she has lots and lots of work experience, which speaks volumes about her. Some of them being that she has worked as a law clerk researcher under Justice GS Sistani in the Delhi High Court, and then as an extern for Chief Justice Mark E Recktenwald under the U.S. Supreme Court, U.S. State Supreme Court, Hawaii. And then she's part of various prestigious organizations like Singapore International Arbitration Center, and so on and so forth. And to add on to all this distinguished achievement, she completed her LLM in International Commercial Arbitration from the prestigious Stockholm University. So she has lots to offer in terms of experience and knowledge. And therefore, I think Miss Anjali might have something to add on to this.
Thank you so much, Gauri, for such warm welcome. Good afternoon, everybody. So today I'm going to talk about how to secure an LLM abroad. And please feel free if you think in between there is something that I should elaborate a little further on. And if you have any questions, just please ask. And if we can't accommodate every question for this workshop, then you're more than welcome to drop me a line. Thank you.
Cool then. Firstly, I want to open it to all of you that this is an open seminar, a workshop, which we have arranged especially for you all, because it is not to cater to our needs, but to cater to your needs. So feel free to ask any questions. If you feel that you are butting in or anything, there is nothing like that. Feel free to ask her directly, or you can ask me and then I can ask her. So we should now cut to the chase and focus on the major aspects which determine how to get a successful application, or how to taste success when it comes to applying for an LLM abroad. Now, Anjali, I personally have this really important question, that what are the key factors one should weigh in when you are preparing your application for sending for an LLM course abroad?
Definitely, Gauri. Thank you for the question. First of all, most important thing is that you should mind your grade if you want to do an LLM abroad, because all the universities, especially Ivy League, they're very stringent on their marks, that you need to have marks like Oxford, Oxbridge, like Cambridge also. The higher your percentages, the more chances you've got to get into these universities. So you have to mind your marks throughout your law school so that you can go for your masters afterwards. So even if you have a minute interest in masters, just be sure about the marks. Another thing, if people think that okay, they chose to do a masters in their 4th year or final year, and then they say that we do not have that high marks, that's also okay, because your application is based on different factors. Important is your SOP, so how nicely you can put your work through. Now everyone thinks that making of SOP very flowery. That's not required. You just have to make your SOP clear. You need to tell them that why you're so passionate about this masters. So do not open books and then jumble up words and just give them something very flowery, because that's not going to sell. What's going to sell is something personal to you. So your personal story, like how you started, why do you want to do this? And that's how it works. So your SOP is really important. Then your letter of recommendation is really important. Now people think that they will procure 5-6 letter of recommendation. Recently, a lot of universities have also eliminated letter of recommendation, because sometimes the application is meritorious, but they do not have proper referrals. So they don't want these students to weigh low. So which is why you don't have to stress on a lot of letter of recommendation. even if one or two letter of recommendation, if you can find from somebody who is very personal to you, who has known you during your academics, if you're going straight out of your law school, or your employer, ex-employer for whom you have worked, because especially in Europe, people look for the personal touch. So the more personal touch you can give to your application, the better it is. So which is why your letter of recommendation is also important. Most important thing during your application is the time. So you need to mind the time. It's not like if you'll send just 2 days before the application somebody for your LOR, they will not furnish you, because people whom you usually ask for your LOR are on some pedestrian and they have other things also to do. So you need to have like 10 days, 20 days, so that you can write them an email, follow them up, back and forth. That is really important as well. Then everything counts in your application, your internship experience does. So don't think anything of waste, because even if somebody is not good in academics but have been very good and has been outspoken in extra co-curricular activities, like organizing fest, doing debates and everything, that can also shows your leadership management qualities to the admission office. So do not think that anything is of waste. If you can visit, if sometime marks are not good, but that if in person you get a chance, so you can make an impression. A lot of these universities does fairs, job fairs internationally also. Like a lot of universities comes to India and China and other part of the country. So make sure that you track down these universities, go for their job fairs, education fairs, sorry. And if possible, then write them to the admissions. They're very prompt in replying. Tell them that if they can make a visit for you, and like 9 out of 10 times, they'll be more than happy to have you. So just go to their campus, meet the deans, make an impression, because although they require, for example, 8-point CGPA, but the minimum criteria is 6.5. So even if you're at 6.4 or something, you will still get in, if provided you make a good impression, you have good ample amount of work experience, you have good internship, then your clinical experience also counts, your teaching assistantship position counts, your research assistantship position counts, your publication counts, your organization skills count. Even if you're president of your university, that counts. So a lot of things counts while you're making an application. And then other thing is your TOEFL score. Now, for your UK visa, you need IELTS for compulsion, but there are a lot of times when you can seek waiver. Now, why I'm asking you to seek a waiver, because A, it saves on money, because these exams does not come cheap, and B, it saves up on time, because for these exams you need to take test and then go and then give and then wait for 2 to 3 weeks to get your results. So that's also like a month amount of time. So you either, instead of that, you can just simply write to your admissions office, which university you're targeting to. Tell them that you have done all your education in English and these are your credentials, and most likely they will waive it for you. And if required, take an undertaking from your university, which further helps you to take a waiver. So that's another thing. And just keep on writing to them, check on to the alumni network. Alumni are very helpful. Use your LinkedIn to the fullest. Find out how you can reach them. Talk to them. They will also guide you. Then also accept education. Your extra co-curricular is also important. Now people always think that, it's in Oxford, I'm going to go and kill it, and it will look very nice on my CV. Not necessarily, because I might be different from you. I can spend the whole day in library, but for you, it's really important to go out, socialize, go into a more practical sphere and do it. So it's not important that one shoe does not fit all. So you have to do your thorough research that what the university has to offer, how does the course goes, is it more book system or is it more practical system? What would you like to have for yourself? What suits you the best? See that as well. Then another thing is when you're changing jurisdiction, if you're going from common law jurisdiction to civil law or from civil to vice versa. Now what common law jurisdiction people face most of the time is, like in common law countries, we write a lot because we base a lot of our judgments and our knowledge on precedents, whereas on civil part they write very short and crisp. So when civil jurisdiction person goes to the common law jurisdiction, the problem comes because suddenly you have so many case laws to remember, so many judges, verdicts, everything, and then that leads to confusion. So think, if you are very open and plan to learn these kind of a thing. Similarly, for common law jurisdiction, if you're going to civil law, just understand that whatever you write might not be very go easy with them. So you need to, reconstruct it, write in their manner, languages change, writing spaces change. So see everything before you apply for masters. And yeah, probably that's about it. Time, again, I said, just keep on checking times. And then scholarship, it's really important if you would like to have scholarship earlier, because when we get our acceptance from Ivy League or any university, we never consider a financial aspect till the time we get a receipt in our email that, okay, now you have to pay. And that comes the question that, oh, I have never thought about the financial aspect. So you have to be very mindful about that as well. So deadlines, please pay attention to it.
Yeah. So what I could culminate from what you just said was that perseverance, your tediousness to learn, these all go a long way to help shape how good of a LLM candidate you are. Now, there's a conjoining question, since you're talking about this, about standard requirements for an LLM candidate. I mean, there are basic academic requirements we just spoke about. I think it mentions about GPA or CGPA, whichever is followed in the university. And then apart from this, are there any extracurricular activities for law students which a person should definitely participate in?
So no, it's not necessary, but a lot of universities have their own personal guidance and requirement as well. Like there's this Leiden University which gives you specialization in masters, so they want you to have a prior master before that if you apply for that course. So you need to make sure that you have it to as an eligibility criteria. Then again, for some universities, TOEFL and IELTS are compulsory, even if you're coming from an English-speaking jurisdiction. So you make sure that you have a score while applying for it. A lot of the applications are a rolling basis, so do not think that you will give half certificates and half you will get later, because chances are that you might get a rejection before you submit your another certificates. So make sure you have everything in line, or even if you do not have everything in line, make sure to drop them an email that, listen, I'm still finding for my GPA and I'll get back to you in so and so amount of time. And they usually take all these things into consideration. Then for a lot of university, mooting requires, like, it's not a compulsory thing, but they look to your application with a little more weightage that, oh, this person has good mood. For example, arbitration, there is this mood called Vismood. So there are a lot of universities which maintain their ranking year by year on the international index by participating in the moot. So if you have like a mooting experience, and they'll be like, oh, this candidate can be a potential mooter in our college and would represent us. So this candidate has so and so award. That means I should take this candidate because, this candidate will help me to maintain my position into the university ranking. So a lot of prejudice comes like that. And then, as I said about alumni, so if your boss, for whom you have worked, or your professor is coming from the same university, they also pay high regards to the alumni network that, okay, my alum is working now and he or she is making and sending people like that. So they will pay attention to your application. So there are a lot of things that comes into picture, which is secondary, but primary is your marks, your SOP, LOR, your result, TOEFL and IELTS, and that's about it. That's the main requirement that comes in handy.
Anjali, there's one more question which is usually a doubt for many students who are preparing themselves, who are bracing themselves for the long run. That how should they make their mind to choose one particular LLM school or university where they should attend the particular course or get an admission into, because there are enticing offers. There are so many good universities worldwide. There is such a big competition and puts the student in such a tough position, in such a confusing position.
Yeah, I understand, because a lot of students goes for ranking. For example, people like, I want to go to Harvard, because that problem came with me as well. I wanted to do an arbitration law, and I knew that, for that matter of fact, none of the Ivy Leagues offer arbitration as a course. So now if I would go for ranking, these universities are in the top tier. So I would be like, I should go for these universities. But at the same time, they do not cater to my need. So brand always is not important in holistic manner, but you also need to see that which course you want to go and which university suffice to that course.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes the university overall ranking would not be that high, but for that course it will be like number one. So that is the thing. Like if you see Stockholm University, it comes in like top 100 if you see the overall ranking of the universities. But for arbitration law, it's the second in the world. So, that helps, like how you choose your universities. Another thing for choosing whether to go for a
Mm-hmm.
general LLM or a specific LLM also comes from a lot of factors. One is what do you want to do in future. So if you want to do, for example, corporate law, you want to go to
Mm-hmm.
company, then of course a specific LLM comes
Mm-hmm.
handy. People would be like, okay, this person is trained in competition law or antitrust or corporate law, so we know we have this particular department in our
Mm-hmm.
corporate giant, so we will offer them the position. Otherwise, if you go for litigation, so even if you do a general LLM, it's handy because people would be like, oh, this person is doing litigation, so he or she knows everything about it. But for me personally, I think specific LLM weighs little more than the general LLM, because then you give like a perspective about you to public that this person knew what they wanted to do. So they were sure,
Mm-hmm.
because usually when you take a safe round and go for general LLM, it might show to the people that, okay, this person was still not sure but wanted to do an LLM, so they just did it. So you have to be specific that what you want to do, like where you want to go yourself 5 years ahead or 10 years ahead, and choose wisely.
Mm-hmm.
And now people feel confusion how to choose. So for that, work experience come handy if you do a lot of internship, research assistantship, or your jobs later on. So then that comes handy that people now know that, okay, I want to do this thing, but now I want to do this thing. Like I was always very big on taxation. I did a lot of things in taxation, and I was always like, you know what, I'm going for masters in taxation. But when I worked for like almost 3 years, and I was like, no, actually it's arbitration which interests me. So that helped me to find out, to filter out the process. So always work. But there are times when people do not have time for a master to work and then break a work and then go for their master, probably because of the financial constraint or other things, like how the family setup is. Even then, just use those 5 years of your law school very wisely. Like do everything, even if you think that you have a remote interest in this field, for example, like rural governance, and then you will not find internship in government sector without any proper know-how. Then go to your professor, say that, you know what, I know that you're doing research in this and I would like to assist you, and do a research for them with 3 months, 6 months, spend it on the ground. And that's how you will know that whether you like it or was it your doubt. Because this process of doing internship and not wasting your time during law school would help you eliminate and narrow down your aspect. So even if you, at the end of law school, you are narrowed with 4 or 5 subjects, it's easier than to go with all 25 or 30 subjects. So that's how you narrow down your choices, and that's how you decide what you want.
No, no, no. Your words make sense because at the end of the day, the real life experience or the real life work experience is what helps us garner our own intellectual capacity, where we should head in what direction, and ultimately it gives us a purpose as to what we should pursue and what not we should pursue. Now, in the previous answer, you mentioned about the financial difficulties a student has to face, and now with currently, yesterday only there was this news that UK has been hit by recession in a very bad manner. So globally, this pandemic has had very worse effect. I mean, one couldn't ever think that this, and this could happen. So, Anjali, there might be many students out there who are facing a tough time when it comes to gathering funds to pursue an LLM or even to support their education. Do you have
Yeah.
any tips for them? Any important tips?
Certainly, certainly. So, if you would like to apply for a scholarship, you need to make your mind much earlier, because scholarship deadlines are very early and shorter than your application deadline. Now, there are two type of scholarship, basically, like broadly, if I speak. One are the private or the government scholarship, which has nothing to do with the university. For example, your Rhodes Scholarship, Commonwealth Scholarship, your Schevening Scholarship. So these scholarships are by the government itself, government of different, Fulbright, for example, the US government gave, Shivni, the UK government gave. So you just check their guidelines because these application process are very tedious and very lengthy. So you need to read about them, see the previous interviews, see how people have gone through these, scholarship application. There's a lot of tips available online. So first narrow down that which scholarship you would like to apply, and then start reading about it, and then apply, because these scholarships usually take month to two to get the final result in your hand. This is a one type of scholarship. Another type of scholarship which comes under CSR, the corporate social responsibility. So there are a lot of firms, like for example Tata Group, Mahindra Group, White and Case, Herbert Smith. They all also give their private scholarship to the students. So how it goes, like, there are two things. Either they sign you for the future contract. It's like, okay, you're going, okay, then you'll come back and work for us. So we'll sponsor your education, so that, ultimately you are helping our own institution. For example, Jindal, for MBA students, they have their scholarship. So the people who are working for Jindal Group already get scholarship to come for 1 year, do their masters, and then go back and join their offices. So that's one thing. Another is a lot of these firms and companies under CSR, they give free scholarship because for their tax benefits and also their social responsibilities. So for that also, there an interview round. You have to put in your SOP, like especially for them, because you have to design your SOP for everything that you apply. So you can't send like a similar SOP. So just see, a lot of time you will have guidance how to go about your SOP. When you go to your university profile or the scholarship profile, they'll tell you what they want to particularly hear from you, and there'll be word limit. Do not cross the word limit, please, because they won't say you that you crossed it, so we are rejecting you, but that definitely puts a negative impact. So for example, NYU has a requirement that your SOP cannot be more than 500 words. So 500 means 500, should not also be 501. So that's on you. Like, be very specific about what you would like to know. That's second type of scholarship. And the third type of scholarships are usually which the universities themselves give. So when you apply for their master program, now these are also two types. Some scholarships are education based, which means the moment you apply for your application, it automatically applies to your application. So if they think that your application is meritorious based, they give you the scholarship. And other scholarships are need based or finance based. So for that, you need to make a separate application, which is also available on the website with your main application. So make sure about the deadlines and then apply. And also, the fourthly would be you can go to the solicitors and the senior counsels in your jurisdiction. Sometimes they would also like to fund your education if you put like stuck a chord with them. So call them for interviews, or like go out for the coffee, or like try to be in touch with them, attend their workshops and everything, and try and talk them out. So it works for a few students then as well.
So I think reaching out to the people who are there in the concerned positions, that will be of great help. And trying your luck out with them, trying to impress them with your CV, curriculum vitae, would be of great help. I think that will be able to get some good results for students.
Yeah.
Now, Anjali,
and lastly, I'm so sorry, Gauri, but
no,
crowdfunding, like it just came to my mind. A lot of students now in States and Europe does crowdfunding as well through Facebook, or there are a lot of GoFundMe, Milap. There are a lot of websites which give you a window for 1 or 2 months where you can raise funds, and a lot of students get good funding as well. You just got to be lucky too for that. So that can also work for you.
Yes, I think that trying out and reaching to new people who are there in their position, and not getting awkward or anything, not harboring any such thought, will be of great help, and that will be the gateway to a good result. And Anjali, there's this last question which looms in every student's mind, and there is uncertainty attached to this question, that what are the job prospects after a student completes his or her LLM?
Yeah. So that's why I was coming on your alumni network. Please be watchful LLM does
Mm-hmm.
not guarantee jobs, especially with COVID around. There is no guarantee. So, which is why it also becomes important that which university you're going for. For example, my
Mm-hmm.
friend went to Swansea, UK, for doing
Mm-hmm.
maritime law. Now, Swansea has no
Maritime.
ranking whatsoever in international index, but
Mm-hmm.
the moment she completed her maritime law masters and she applied to firm for maritime law position, she got through by
Mm-hmm.
looking at her CV that, oh, you're from Swansea. So your university comes in handy when you're applying for a specialization and your university is known for that specialization. So your name sells, first of all. Second of all, there has to be a good, strong alumni network, because a lot of time all these alumni are in very senior positions and you can reach to them that, you know what, I also did my master from the same university, and if you could help me, because if they give you an internal referral, chances are that your application would be gone notice and not like unnoticed or some stuff like that. And the third thing is look out, because few universities now have a career development division as well. So go and
Mm-hmm.
enroll yourself in the beginning. Ask them how to make your CV, because they help you to pick the jurisdiction of how to go about the CV, how to make your cover letter, and then they would also give you email address and all where you can apply, because a lot of time you just do not know where the job openings are, especially in Europe where the language is very different from country to country. So that
Mm-hmm.
helps. And the third thing is like your professors, just ask them, because a lot of the time these professors would also have friends who have not opted for academics and went to corporate world, so these professors can also put you in touch with people. So yeah, just be open to meet anyone and everyone. Networking is the key. If you're a lawyer, just be ready to open your mouth and conquer the world. So sky is the limit then, if you just be like comfortable in your own skin, are very confident about your skill, nobody can stop you.
True, true, true. So, as a student, and after hearing you, what I could feel and what I could gather is that a student should never put his or her eggs in one
Yeah.
basket. I mean, they should be open to all sorts of possibilities
Mm-hmm.
and majorly focus not on the overall ranking of the university, but particularly in the course
Mm-hmm.
ranking. And within the course itself, where he or she wants to do a specialization in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Anjali, I was really happy when I got to know that yeah, in such a distinguished position, and you could give us some few words of guidance. And other than that, I want to ask all other people who are right now an audience to this seminar, are you guys having any sorts of questions? Please feel free to ask Anjali, because she's here and she's open to all sorts of questions being asked. She's so knowledgeable.
Thanks, Bob. Yeah, so if you
Mm-hmm.
guys do not have a question right now, also you can reach me on my LinkedIn or drop me an email. I'll be more than
Mm-hmm.
happy to take it afterwards as well. So if you have any particular
Mm-hmm.
question, and if you have any particular question about the jurisdiction or any specific college or university,
Mm-hmm.
I would be more than
Mm-hmm.
happy to take it up if I know things about that university, or else I'll be open to research also for you guys. Just
Mm-hmm.
let me know.
Also, Also, Anjali, tell me one thing. When is the perfect time a person should start preparing his or her LLM application? Should it be 2 years before, 1 year before, or 6 months before?
No, I mean like for research, you can start like an year before, because there is a lot of to research for the
Mm-hmm.
alumni network, for the cultural background, for the education
Mm-hmm.
background, history of the university. So
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of things that you can start researching for. But like optimally, you should start your applications in September,
Okay.
and because by December most of the application in US, for example, stops, and Europe has like a little extended deadline. So by Jan or like Feb first week, it goes till then, and then by like March and April, you will start getting your
Mm-hmm.
offers coming. And
Then
yeah,
September
yeah,
is the month
September.
to be prepared.
Yeah,
Okay, then I don't feel any other person has any other questions, because I think we should wrap up now. It's been
definitely.
entirely 40 to 45 minutes of intellectual discussion being taking place, and it was such a delight speaking to you, Anjali. You were so
Thank you
intellectual,
so much,
so
Corey. Thank you for
so
having me
knowledgeable.
today.
Thank you
It
so
was
much.
lovely talking to you. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. And you guys enjoy your weekend. Take care,
Yeah.
and stay safe.